sea to shining sea.
All
Howdy,
right.
folks. How are we doing this lovely evening?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Mitch?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain.
I just want to give a shout out real quick to Carl. Unfortunately, Carl was sick today. I guess he's come down with the flu, so just wish him hopefully a speedy recovery from that. So we're going to be running it on our socials tonight, and then when Carl gets back, if he wants to add the recording to the networks, like the Bill of Rights Network and all that, then he can do that. But just tonight we're running on our socials, and we'll go from there. So, how you been, Mitch? It's been a week since our first show.
Yes, it has. Did you want to do prayer before we get started?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and then we can kind of talk about what we're going to talk about today. So, yeah, let's go into some prayer.
All right. Dear Lord, I'd like to thank you for having all of us here tonight. I'd like to thank you for our family, our loved ones, our friends, everybody that we know and care about. Thank you for the good health, and I pray that you keep them in good health. I pray that you help Carl have a speedy recovery. I know he's under the weather, as we mentioned. I would like to thank you for us having this wonderful nation and our wonderful leaders. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to have our voices heard. Thank you for all of our loved ones. Amen.
Amen. Hell yeah. All right. So let's kind of get into what we're going to talk about tonight. So a couple big things happened over this last week. The week before this last week, we had Liberation Day. So we talked at length about that last week. And then we kind of saw a little bit of the fallout from that this week. So we'll cover that. There were some rulings by the Supreme Court related to deportations and, terrorists and gang members and students and activists and all that. People flying around the globe on our taxpayer dime. So we'll cover that a little bit. Then we had Alex Jones on Tucker Carlson. So we'll cover that because there were some interesting bits from that interview. And then we've got just some other random little things just to talk about. Just stupid Congress people making stupid comments and typical libs being triggered. So without further ado. No, we're not running out of content. So we will try to do a little bit better this week on not going back and forth so long on any single topic. But so we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So biggest thing from this week was the tariffs. Of course, Trump suspending the tariffs on all the other countries that decided to play ball and raising the tariffs on China and all the market reactions from that, the media reactions from that especially. And that was especially telling. So, what was your take on all that, Mitch, with this kind of back and forth this week with the tariffs and everything?
Well, I would say overall it's shown fairly positive. Most countries have been reciprocal and been okay with how things are going. China has definitely pushed back. They've doubled down, which we kind of expected to. I don't think it can last. The longer China does this, the more people start to starve in their nation. Them having tariffs on America is not equal to us having tariffs on them. We can live without their cheap Chinese junk. Yeah, things will get more expensive, but they can't live without our food. That's what people have to realize is a large percentage of our crops grown here, soybeans, rice, things like that, are shipped overseas to China. And by them raising tariffs, they are directly taking food out of their citizens' mouths. So I don't know
Mm.
how long it'll take this up. I think it will come to bite them fairly quickly in the butt, because the moment you start having your citizens starving to death, they will turn against you. They'll turn on you. So we'll either see China give in on the tariffs, or we'll maybe even see a change of regime. Who knows? But I do know China is not a friend. They're not Taiwan's friend. They're out to take over Taiwan. They make that very clearly on their own state-ran social media page. Like, we don't want to be friends with these people. They are actively trying to destroy us and end us as a nation. Let's keep that in mind, folks. That's all I really have to say about it, you know.
Yeah, no, I think we agree on all that. Really, China needs us way more than we need them. I mean, yeah, look, when we said it last week, there's going to be some short term pain, but long term gains. I mean, if you really think about what's happening here, is Trump has single handedly facilitated the reorganization of the trading relationships across the globe. And what we saw, actually, it's kind of brilliant. It's even more brilliant whenever you kind of look at the outcomes. If you have that, 2020 hindsight is 2020, right? We had all these nations say, okay, so we told them, hey, don't retaliate, you'll be rewarded. They didn't, and then the ones that did kind of showed their colors, right? That we saw, what was it? Canada, the European Union, and China were the ones that retaliated. It's like, man, all the other countries in the world either didn't do anything, but they didn't retaliate. And then China, Canada, and the European Union retaliate. So that just kind of shows where your loyalties lie. The rest of the world said, hey, we want to do business with the United States. And those three entities, I guess is the best way to put them, said, no, we're going to play our own game. And if you really think about where a lot of the threats for, socialism and communism come from, certainly China, right? Canada, man, think about some of the policies that they've had. I mean, they've disarmed their citizens within the last, 10 years or so. That's a big red flag. You have a lot of other policies in Canada. They're just, I mean, it's basically a testing ground, I think, for what they're going to try to implement here in the U.S., right? And
yeah. And these interviews that this interview we're going to watch later, some of these clips with Tucker Carlson, one of them, he specifically touches on these things, not the tariffs, but he touches on how there is a definite, like, world order, for lack of a better term, where there is a group that is in control of the vast majority of people. And a lot of people are just okay following along like blind sheep. That's great. That's awesome. We need those kind of people in society. But I also like to think myself as a little bit more open than a sheep, a little bit more intelligent than a sheep. And we're seeing a tipping point where our nation really can go one way or the other, and it will change history forever as we know it. It'll be a pivotal moment in history, I believe. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's absolutely right.
Trump is, we'll see in the clip, Trump's working to break up that new world order. He's throwing a wrench in their plans for sure.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to say. So you had China, which is obvious, communist. You have Canada, which are kind of our neighbor to the north, the testing grounds for trying those things in this region. And then you have the European Union, right? Which that's where the globalists are housed, right? That's where this idea of globalism comes from. So that the reason why they were retaliating is this is just a way of life for these people. I mean, this was kind of the new world order. And yeah, we absolutely the turning point was Trump not dying on that stage in Butler. The turning point was him winning that election. And because we saw through the veil on that day, I mean, first we saw him getting attacked with the lawfare and all that nonsense. Anybody that had half a brain looked at those court cases and was like, wow, you changed the statute of limitations to charge this guy. And you're telling the jury that they don't have to understand what felony that he committed in order to convict him of other felonies because he committed the other felony. I mean, such nonsense has never taken place. I mean, it's a disgrace to this country that it happened that way. But that was the first turning point, was whenever people saw through that veil. And then when people started to see through that veil and he started to win, he only gained more popularity. They tried to kill him. And when they tried to kill him, even more people woke up. Even more people saw, hey, there's something going on here. And only a few times in history has there been, these assassination attempts on presidents. And usually it's because they're standing up to the global system. Right. And so whenever Trump won the election, I think that was kind of the oh my God, we seriously dodged a bullet for, if Kamala and Tampon Tim would have won. I mean, good Lord, I can't even imagine where we'd be today. So, and all that to say, I mean, you look at now, that's what these tariffs really are. It's rejecting globalism and it's saying America first. And so what we're doing is we're renegotiating all of those trade agreements and we're bringing jobs to the U.S. So we're going to gain more. We're going to bring more money in through the goods that we sell. We're going to create more jobs here in the U.S., which is going to be better for everyone overall. It's going to lower inflation. Because the government's not going to have to print so much money in order to support everything, because we're using the tariffs and all that to bring in some of that. There's going to be less less programs in general, less fraud, waste, and abuse, which I'll play that. That was another thing that happened this week, was the cabinet meeting. So we've got a clip from that, which is just shocking. But yeah, so anyway, I said we weren't going to talk too much about that. But yeah, I mean, the tariffs thing was big. We saw, the market react, and then Trump say, okay, we'll pause it for 90 days to all these countries just to give them a break. And then we're going to increase the tariffs on China, and the market went crazy, so, and then, all that, anybody that watches MSDNC, CNN, ABC, NPR, whatever, right now, I guarantee you they think that the stock market is down for the last week. Okay. Because they're being programmed by those media outlets to believe that. But if you actually look at the numbers, we're actually up 5% or 9% from last week. So that's the reality versus what's being crafted in the media. And there's examples of that we were going to get into, but really there's bigger topics at play. But as always, you can find the media pulling some pretty nasty tricks with using graphics, for example, to illustrate a point that doesn't really exist. So,
yeah, 100%.
All right. So tariffs. Next thing was deportation. So very early in the week, actually, we had the Supreme Court. We had a win in the Supreme Court saying that we could deport terrorists. And Amy Coney Barrett, who was, of course, nominated by Trump and endorsed by Trump, brought in. It was very controversial because it was during COVID and it was a last minute thing, So if you watch the hearings from that, it's really sad because she is a really intelligent person, so she knows better. But it's clear that she's not really interested in conservatism and in America first. I mean, I think her thing was that she wanted to do the whole abortion thing, and then she's out. So anyway, Amy Coney Barrett sided with the libs on that one, the lib judges, and it still passed. But she decided she needed to take a stand, which is activist judges in general. So yeah, who would think that it would have to go to the Supreme Court that we should be able to deport terrorists from the United States of America, Mitch?
Right? Yeah, never saw that one coming. Thought that was kind of common knowledge that You come into our country and you're wanted by the government, then, well, we just get rid of you. And not
And
the
that
Chinese way.
and that the president has to have permission from federal judges to exercise his powers. I mean, this is insane.
It is insane. It should never have came to this situation. It's out of hand completely. We've got the worst immigration crisis that this nation's ever faced. Luckily, it's been stemmed, but you still have a massive, massive amount of illegal people in this country who are not all here for the right reasons. They're not all good people. Granted, some are, but just as many aren't.
No.
And why do you want to even take that chance? Even if it's 1 in 10, why do you want that one person out of every 10 coming over? That's still one too many. We don't want anybody bad coming into our country if we can avoid it. And if we catch somebody that's bad, that's not from our country, we should absolutely send them back to their country. And we should push to have them penalized in their country, I think.
Yep.
If we deport a terrorist back to France, let's pressure France to charge them and do something against them. Let's push back on some of these other countries, because they're sending their citizens over all the same too. Every country we've caught almost illegal immigrants from. That's ridiculous. One of the largest growing populations of illegal crossing the border was the Chinese immigrants. And it's because of the extreme things that they're going through over there in their country, which touches back on they're going to starve with tariffs in their country. They can't do that. They can't put pressure on their people when their people are already cracking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's an interesting statistic. I always thought that was funny during the election whenever libs would try to scream that it's racist or whatever against Mexicans if you support border control or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that might be true if it wasn't Chinese people that make up the majority of the population of people that are coming into the country, an enemy state, people of an enemy state making the majority of the population.
Yep.
No, not a concern to you because you don't know. You just believe whatever you're told to believe instead of looking at the facts. Typical problem. But so yeah, then we had the ruling that you could deport these terrorists, right? These illegals out of the country. And then there was we talked about the Venezuelan, was it the Venezuelan father, quote unquote, that they accidentally, quote unquote, deported to the prison, to the Venezuelan prison. Because, they're saying, oh, there's no evidence that he's a gang member or whatever. Well, yeah, there's actual court documents to show that he is a member of MS-13. So the only actual accident that happened there was that he was deported to Venezuela, right? That was the accident. He's an illegal alien. He didn't even start his family until he didn't even get married or have a kid until after he got caught and was to be deported. So he was gaming the system from day one, exactly. Right? So
this is not a guy who's been living in here. He's got a 5-year-old that's been here. This is not that. No, this guy found out he was about to get deported and figured, what's the only way I can save my hide is I can find a woman and I can have a child here in America. Because having a baby in America automatically gives it American citizenship.
Yep.
So people abuse that system, unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah, no, and then that just shows how much they actually care. I mean, you think about it. He had a child and started this family on his own self-preservation. Right. It's not because he loves the child or whatever. I mean, maybe he does. I don't know. Not really sure what crimes the guy's committed, honestly, but court documents show he's related to MS-13, affiliated with them. And if you're part of that type of gang, you're probably not, civil engineer or, a stand-up volunteer in your off time. You know what I mean? So yeah, that guy. Anyway, so then the courts ruled that he had to be brought back to the U.S. because they didn't have like an actual trial for him. I think was the way I understand it, was they didn't actually have a trial to send him
They
out.
deported him without due process, is what they're claiming.
Due process. Yeah, I find it strange that illegal terrorist gang members should have due process, as considering they're not citizens of this country, and
That's
they're
what I
here
was
to
gonna say. Last I
kill
checked,
and rape
don't
and
get our American constitutional rights without being an American. I think
yeah.
that's how that
Well,
works. Last time
yeah,
I
I
checked,
think there's some.
our
I
U.S.
think there's some,
Constitution doesn't cover any other country, even our good buddies Canada up north. They're
right.
not covered by ours, and that's what
Yeah.
people fail to realize. Is just because you're in our country doesn't mean you're part of our country.
Yeah.
Our country can reject you as a whole and cut you out like cancer if we decide to. We have that right to as a country. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that and embrace that in a lot of ways. Like, these are illegal people. We don't have to be their friend because they made it to our country all of a sudden. If you would have
Right.
treated this person differently in another country than you would here, then that's some kind of way, that you probably need to have a discussion with yourself about. Because at the end of the day, I don't care about where you're from as long as you're from America. I support Americans. Now, if you want to come from any other country, I have no issue. Just do it the correct way. We have a correct process to file for visas, to file for proper paperwork, to get citizenship, and all of those things. I have no issue with that. I'm all for that 100%. Do it legally. These people in here that are here illegally don't deserve the same rights that you and I get, that other people have worked their butts off to earn citizenship. I know people that have worked years to earn their American citizenship. They came in the legal way on visas and things like that. And this is a slap in their face because, they've worked their butts off to become Americans and they deserve the American rights just like we have. And then you got these whole group of illegals that come in and all of a sudden, oh, they get all the same benefits as somebody that's worked their butt off to prove
More
that.
benefits. More benefits
Oh,
under
yeah.
the Biden
Oh, yeah.
administration.
You should look into what it takes for the American citizen, the test to become an American citizen. Citizenization test? I can't remember what exactly it's called. But it's ridiculous. Like, you've got to be able to say the Pledge of Allegiance and know the Bill of Rights and uh, the Constitution and things like that, because that's what it means to be an American. Those things are there for the American people, to cover and protect Americans. And that's what people have to realize and remember.
Yeah, I think there's some gray area where there's like you're to a certain degree you're afforded some rights, but I don't know how all that really plays out whenever you're in the country illegally. You're not supposed to be
You have
here.
the right to be treated like a human. We're not
Well,
going to torture you.
yeah, I
We're
mean,
not
like,
going to abuse you. But other than that, you don't have rights.
well, I mean,
Why should
yeah, I
you
mean,
get a trial? You're illegal.
yeah, no, I agree. Well, especially in the case of where you've been designated as affiliated with a foreign terrorist organization.
100%.
And I think obviously, again, we have to be careful of the slippery slope thing where, that can be weaponized. And, it's really what they tried to do. What Biden tried to do was saying that the white nationalists are the greatest threat. These domestic terrorists are the greatest threat to society. That's really what they were trying to do. They were trying to strip away people's rights by classifying anybody that supported Trump as a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
That's what that was. It didn't fly. But you see what they did to the January 6th people, right? I mean, they were praying inside of a public building and got several months in prison. Now, not everybody, don't get me wrong. On January 6th, there were some people that absolutely destroyed property and did some bad things. And, you know, if they assaulted somebody, if they destroyed public property, whatever, then yeah. But if they were in a government building praying, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't go to prison for that. I'm not sorry for that. Actually, fuck that. I'm not sorry. That's ridiculous.
I'm with you. You can maybe call it a gray area. I would call it maybe like prioritization. You know, let's focus on the violent illegal criminals, the ones tied to illegal organizations, terrorist organizations. Let's focus on them first, and then once we get all of them out of the nation, we still need to be looking at the quote unquote good ones that are still here illegal. Do I want to get rid of and deport, you know, a mom and 3 kids that have been here 10 years and haven't caused any problems? No. Do I want to deport her husband that is a known gang member? Yeah, 100%. And, you know, once we get all those members out, then we're going to come back and we need to have that discussion with the mother. Let's offer them an option to maybe do it legally. Do you want to earn your U.S. citizenship, but you need to go through and do all the same things that the other people that have earned their citizenship have done? It's not an easy process. It's not something that should be given to anybody aside from people that are born here.
Yeah, well, if we don't, then we don't. If you don't enforce immigration law, then you don't have a border. Then anybody and everybody can come here, and there's a reason why. There's a reason why we don't want that, right? I mean, society couldn't support that, and we already saw it happening. Now, again, it goes back to why did Biden and Harris, why did the Democrats let this happen? Why did they openly encourage it? And it's because they knew that they needed voters. They saw populism on the rise around the globe. They know that they got really lucky getting away with what they did in 2020, and they had to ensure that there was no chance in the future that a conservative, that any other candidate would be a viable candidate. So the way that was working, what their plan was, is that, you know, you're going to have the census here in a couple of years, and whenever they do the census, they use 2030.
Every 10 years on the 10th.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So then that was the idea, was that if they get Harrison, then they have 8 years, and then the census would happen under her tenure. Right. And then whenever that happens, then what they do in the census is they count people in the homes, which also includes illegals as well. Yeah. And they use those numbers to determine the congressional districting and the number of representatives in the House, which also determines the amount of electoral college votes that they get. Yep. So thankfully, Elon Musk brought this front and center, and that's why a lot of people really woke up, because he used the power of X and all of his millions of followers to push that out there. He said, this is the greatest threat to democracy, an actual greatest threat to democracy, not this lib label that they throw at anything and everything that just disagrees with them. I mean, these are people that are literally claiming they're dying because people won't call them by, you know, Zer dog or whatever the hell. I mean, they have no sense. There's no logic to them. But, you know, Elon calling that out and saying, hey, this is the plan, and this is really bad if this happens, because they're literally just bringing in voters, and I think they were moving them to places where they needed to win those districts. I think that was the point, because you hear about all these what was it, Haitians in Ohio?
Yeah. It happened to be that certain swing states had a high influx of illegal immigrants.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's like that town. It was like 46% illegal from Haitians, right? Yeah. Something like that. It was a crazy percentage. The town grew by, you know, exponential numbers, and it's like, okay, that's how you take over a district. That's what you do. You pump a bunch of people that you know are gonna, be, if you give them the right to vote, they're probably gonna vote for you because the other team is gonna kick them out, right?
Yeah.
And they don't want to go back to eating fucking dirt cookies. So yeah, of course they're gonna, so they were literally bringing in voters, and they were going to secure the House of Representatives and the Electoral College for them for the foreseeable future. So absolutely, the inflection point, we dodged a huge bullet, because that would have continued. It would have been done in the census. They wouldn't even had to have done the more obvious tyrannical things that they were doing with hunting down white nationalist domestic terrorists, right? Because once they had control through legitimate means, even though they're doing it illegitimately, they don't have to go after the white other than to say if they see anything like a Proud Boys movement, for example, where there's a number of people that are attending protests or whatever, that they can go shut those down as, terrorist activity or whatever. So that was the goal with that. But yeah, so with the deportations though, so we have to bring that guy back apparently. So we're going to bring him back and give him a trial, and then probably not send him to Venezuela. I think that was the error, was that he wasn't supposed to be sent to Venezuela because he had the connection to the gang activity in Venezuela. So that was that. But then we also had the Stanford student who got arrested, and there was the trial to see whether or not he was to be deported. Of course, he was pushing out pro-Hamas literature and flyers. I mean, straight from the terrorist organization that's responsible for killing so many people.
And that leads into kind of something that Alex Jones talks about. This is where we're kind of getting more into the whole world order and how things work. And I think it's probably a good time that we can segue into that clip real quick.
Yeah, sure.
If you wanted to do that, and we can go into our sponsor, or I don't know if I'd call him a sponsor, but somebody that's helping the channel here.
Yeah. So yeah, as an affiliate with them. So which one do you want me to play there, Mitch? We got two here.
Yeah, the one that starts out earlier in the show.
Okay. So I got that. Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Yeah, this is Alex Jones talking about the elitists trying to put forth their agenda and to wake up. And it's really important, I think, that we give him a voice on our channel as well.
All right.
And that God doesn't exist. So, for me, so much of it, again, is in the old days, the globalists, the Western propaganda after the end of World War II, and since then, when we won World War II, had pretty much total narrative control. And so anything they were pre-programming and preparing and hyping the people for, they pretty much always got what they wanted. So it was easy to follow those trend lines out and see what the probable main scenarios were.
So good at
and
this.
Then things would almost always come true that I predicted because they were still in charge. Now that the globalists are really collapsing and a new international order and system is forming, coming from the grassroots up, politics is downstream from the grassroots, and because
the way his mind works, it's so impressive.
It's interesting. It's interesting for sure.
It also comes danger, but it's better than living, on our knees and then ending up having our souls basically taken. It's better to fight down our feet. But in my experience, people that fight on their feet live a lot longer and have better lives than people that try to live on their knees. People that live on their knees actually die on their knees a lot more often than people.
So I really think that he hit the nail right on the head. I agree 100% that we are on the verge of a new awakening. Now, Alex Jones, it was an exquisite interview. I watched the entire thing. I loved it for the most part. That being said, like you said, his mind works in very mysterious ways. I got one more clip that occurred towards the end of the interview I want you to play. It's just about a minute long. And it's one of those moments that are definitely going to be taken out of context. And that's what we're doing right here ourselves, is taking it out of context to a degree. You can always go back and watch it yourself. This is where he takes off on it. To me, it's just kind of an odd story, and it shows kind of a little bit of his quirks and stuff, and why people try to isolate him and try to give him a bad reputation, is because they hear things like this, and then that's what they want to target. When facts are facts, a lot of what he predicts turns out to be very true. Not everything, by no means, but he's got a definite gift and knack for seeing some things. I mean, he completely predicted 9/11 before it happened, 100%.
Yeah.
So, it's completely wild. And so we're gonna play this last part. Hopefully, it's a little bit less out of context. So if you see it out there in the mainstream media, you got a little bit better idea of what's actually going on in the conversation. But it's just a quick little minute. If you wanted to go ahead and play it.
Yep.
And that's what transhumanism is about. And I remember 30 years ago reading government white papers that were public that listeners sent me, medical people, that they had human-animal hybrids they could grow in cows for organ harvesting. And of course, that's been admitted for 20 years now. But just last week, hundreds of articles. Oh, we can grow humanoids for organ harvesting. Don't worry, though. They don't have consciousness. We've already raised them.
I love how he does this.
At undisclosed laboratories, and then it's in the MIT.
He knows things for so long, and people just have no
30
clue.
Years ago, military bases have goat spider that produce body armor out of their milk, but we don't show them to you.
Goats, body armor spiders.
We have dire wolves living in an undisclosed location where we spliced 13,000-year-old DNA with a regular wolf. And
oh man,
my point is, the future's been here for a while. It's just not evenly distributed. So you've got the super advanced sectors of technology, literally underground bases and facilities, and you've got an establishment, a very small technocracy that's even aware of those systems.
Yes.
And they don't want to give the general population access to that. So to them, they want a nuclear war. They think it's survivable in their underground bases. And Ian Fleming, former high-level OSS in MI6, wrote books and movies.
He knows so much. He's so educated on history. And
I
just
highly recommend everybody go and watch the whole interview. It's a good interview. He's covered everything I think that I wanted to cover now. So having that said, some of those things do sound a little bit wild. Goat milk that's armor sounds a little bit awkward. Sounds a little odd. I'm not going to lie. But there's so many aspects of things that you cannot deny that he's been right about. You just can't. You can't argue it. It's backed up by all the receipts. It's backed up by all the evidence you need. I hadn't seen these white papers about goat milk armor. I would love to have the links to them. I'd be curious. That would be a fascinating technology, wouldn't it? Try to explain that one. But I don't think that should discredit him in any way, because he is very profound in the knowledge that he has. And I have no doubt that he has way more knowledge of probably top secret events than a lot of newer presidents do. He's been fed a backdoor of information for decades and decades and decades by the general populace, both in and out of all of those government agencies and schools. So it doesn't surprise me that he would spout some stuff like that. He very well could have those white pages. It is what it is. But I think that we need to take him into account, and we do need to pay attention to what he has to say, because the vast majority of it you can take to the bank.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny because when Alex Jones was talking about the chemicals in the water turning the frogs gay, This is what this reminds me of. This is what I meant was I love it when he does this, when he says, "Oh, it's been public knowledge now for 20 years that they've been putting this chemical in the water to turn decrease testosterone and increase estrogen and turn the animals gay and trying to turn humans gay." It's like, well, we don't know that, Alex, but apparently you do, and you've known it for a long time. And then people call him crazy for 5-6 years, and then it comes out like, oh shit, he was right. That wasn't him, just making something up. That was actually what was going on. Now, he doesn't get everything right from what I've seen. He tries not to be 100% definitive on a lot of things, but if he knows something, he absolutely says it. So he's a really good source for kind of that more insider information, because he does. If you ever watch his show and know anything about him, his family was all tied up in high level government stuff. I think his uncle was a pretty high level like CIA officer or something like that. And so his uncle kind of would tell him stories as a kid. And so he was studying this stuff for a long time. And he's been doing basically podcasting for way longer than anyone else, and he's been
back in the day.
Yeah. And he's been exposing stuff for a long time. So yeah, no, we like Alex. Unfortunately, he's because he's so controversial, because he's so ahead of everyone else. They banned his account on Twitter. Twitter banned him. Elon famously brought him back. He's been the victim of a lot of targeted attacks by the deep state, because just like when they tried to kill Trump, it was the same deal. They're trying to take him down financially, mostly.
Well, not just financially. He discusses that in the interview. That he's also been having all these swatting incidences called in against him, like so many other officials or so many public people that have that same mindset. And it was just a few weeks ago that one of his, I believe it was one of his writers, somebody he worked with in the industry, was actually assassinated. So
yeah, it is one of these reporters. It was an InfoWars reporter got assassinated. Right outside his home.
Yeah. This is very serious. This is very life-threatening, real-life stuff. People are dying.
You can find the video if you want. Owen Schroyer getting swatted. Owen Schroyer is one of his other reporters. It's that also he was one of the January 6th people. He got arrested. Right. And served time, I think, a couple of years for his involvement in being there on January 6th. And then he came back and he has his own show on the InfoWars network, or at least he used to. I'm pretty sure he still does. But yeah, he got swatted. And so he got all that on camera. So that's interesting to watch. But yeah, I mean, they're absolutely targeted. And a lot of that is the crazies out in the public. Right. I mean, the swatting stuff. Right. But what the other thing that Alex and InfoWars had been going through was the thing with the Sandy Hook families and all that. There was what a lot of people don't know is that the judges and the people that were put into the InfoWars. So once there was a judgment against InfoWars, they had like a state representative that would come in and, hey, Raymond, thanks for the thumbs up, man. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, they had like an what is that? Someone that was supposed to come in and basically watch over InfoWars while they were determining what to do with it in court, and then ultimately,
I don't know what you're speaking of. Again,
it was the Fed basically, and so they came in and they were doing all types of stuff behind the scenes. I mean, they were an activist, they were liberal activists.
Watch his
it's in the interview. Okay, he talks about it.
Interview. Yeah. He talks about how they are prosecuting him, yeah, for the whole Sandy Hook. They're allowed to charge him civilly, even though he was never found guilty of any crime whatsoever. He's being, I believe, he was sued for $1.5 billion, like an absurd, absurd amount of money that nobody.
Right.
Well, I shouldn't say nobody has, but he doesn't have that. Alex Jones doesn't have $1.5 billion to pay out. His network isn't worth $1.5 billion.
Oh,
He
yeah.
filed for bankruptcy. He mentions all of this in the interview,
Yeah.
and it still goes on even to this day. He's still fighting these things. The organization that had originally targeted Trump made them agree to stop attacking himself, and they had to pay reciprocities, and they agreed to pay reciprocities in somewhere in the cost of, I think it's $80 million, and $40 million of which was going to be used to sue Alex Jones over the Sandy Hook incident.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's all the same people.
ridiculous. Yeah, it is
It's all the
100%. They use the judicial system to attack their political rivals, and
Yep.
last I checked, that's illegal. You can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's happening. And unfortunately, so what ended up happening with Alex was he got found guilty in the court of public opinion first. The media is exactly what they try to do. They try to paint you as the criminal in the media. And once the general public, or used to be the general public that believed what they saw on MSDNC or ABC or CNN or any of those other NPR, believed it, what they saw on there, then it didn't matter what they did to you in the court, because you couldn't convince the public that there was any problem, right? But unfortunately for them, they kind of did that a little too much, and that now the public has woken up, and now we see those types of things. So yeah, there was a whole thing, like they tried to sell InfoWars to pay for the money. Oh, Alex, he got found guilty. The whole thing is because they asked him to provide how much income he made from covering the Sandy Hook story. And he's like, well, I cover so much. I do like a 4-hour show every day. Like, how am I supposed to calculate that? I don't have that. And they're like, well, you're not providing this, so now you're guilty. And that's why they had that huge judgment against him. It was all rigged. It was all rigged court, just like the Trump cases. The same kind of nonsense that they pulled with the Trump cases, they did to him. And so, yeah, they tried to sell InfoWars back in November, and it was supposed to be an auction. Okay. And they did this auction, and now you would think in an auction, the highest bidder gets it, right?
Well,
But
see,
that's not what they did.
He talks about it in the interview, man. You got to watch the interview, apparently.
Yeah.
But no, they didn't. They didn't have the auction originally. 24 hours before the auction was to be held, people were placing bids. They accepted the bids that had already been placed, and then used those as part of a silent auction, quote unquote, that was not approved by the judge. And the judge did immediately overturn it and say, "You did not have an auction. This doesn't count.
Right.
This isn't how it works."
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. They had an auction, which wasn't an actual auction.
Right. Yeah, and that was still, though, that was before the actual auction to try to sell the thing. And then even then, they still had companies stepping in on their behalf to try and buy it up and to be able to just disband it. And he talks about it. He says, they didn't even want the 1.5 billion. They clearly stated they just wanted the show shut down.
They wanted to show
the money. They wanted the show shut down.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
They gave it to the Onion for a little while. That's what it was. It got sold to the Onion for a short bit. Yeah. Yeah, I followed all that as that was happening. That was really impressive to watch, and thank God that they survived all that, because man. And actually, so I think this is probably a good time. So what we've done here is, because part of that helping to support Alex Jones and InfoWars is buying their merch from their shop. And I personally I've bought some of this Ultimate Sea Moss. You can see that. that's a product that I've used. I've also used their hey, look, there it is right there on the screen, the Ultimate Sea Moss. They also have the turmeric gummies as well. I use that right after my exercises, whatever. Take some of that turmeric. It's good stuff. These are good supplements. Little on the more expensive end, but they do have the best quality ingredients, and it does what it says it does. And it also helps support Alex and the InfoWars team. Part of that is we've signed up to be an affiliate of theirs because I actually have here's a shirt you can actually get right now. Rebellion to Tyrants is Obedience to God. 1776. It's a badass Punisher shirt. Love this shirt. It's on their site. You can get that today as well. Another thing that I've got here is this. You've got these challenge coins, which, I mean, that's a pretty badass coin. You can't get this one right now. A lot of these designs and things that they have, they're not there anymore. They're kind of limited time deals. So you get what's on there. This shirt happened to be around for a while because it's a pretty good seller, and I think Alex likes it a lot. So they keep that around. But yeah, so use the link up there at the top. AlexJonesStore.com/no nonsense tonight. And basically, as an affiliate, we'll get, I think it's like 10% of whatever you buy on their site. So go get the supplements and gear and cool collectible challenge coins or whatever that you like from the store. Use our link, and that'll help us out a little bit. But we want to support Alex Jones and InfoWars because he really has been the tip of the spear since before I was born, I think. So, well, no, not really, but anyway. Mitch, you have anything else you want to add to that? A long time.
No, just like I said, like you said, by supporting him and using our affiliate link, you help support us. By supporting us, we keep giving you content. Our content gets better. We're able to have more people on. We hope to do interviews and different things like that. So, support Alex, support us, and support your First Amendment and Second Amendment and every other amendment because you're an American. You deserve each and every one of those.
All right. And with that, I think we'll move into an awesome video. So I saw this earlier in the week. I'll pull that up here real quick. Saw this video earlier in the week. It's an awesome video. So this is one of the segments that we didn't get to do last week. Was just an awesome video. So let me pull this up here. And did it? Awesome video. Add to stage. All right, here we go. Here it comes.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it.
He hit that
Great,
perfect, man.
Yeah, he did. He nailed that sucker good.
Oh,
That's awesome.
good old awesome video. Yep. So one of the other things we didn't get to do last week, I think now is a good time probably to take a break because we're about halfway through. Generally, now just so everyone knows, generally the show is actually only scheduled for about an hour, but we go a little bit longer, but at a maximum of 2 hours. We don't want to do too much more than that, although we could go all night if you let us. But Mitch has to get up and work in the morning, like a responsible person does. So yeah, we'll go ahead and while we take a quick little break here, we're gonna watch some of the Goodest Boys. So that's a good boy. He does all right. But let me pull up here. Be right back, y'all. All right. So, nice little break there. Give people some time to grab a drink, run to the bathroom, do whatever. Now is probably a good time to mention, hey, if you're not following us on X, it's at no nonsense 2, the number 2, Night, NITE. So we always broadcast to X, and we'll generally repost some stories or whatever throughout the week, and get some content from there. So follow us on X if you're not already. And with that, let's move over here into some lib nonsense. All right. All right. So this was earlier in the week. You can see Doge found millions of illegals were given social security numbers.
Fox to reveal what's really going on. Doge exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now, here's the story. Doge has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a social security number. No interview, no proof of identity. Just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, Doge says 270,000 new aliens were issued social security numbers. 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. Doge also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses, some registered to vote, and Doge says some actually did vote.
My God.
Try to square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying, he's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk.
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta agree. You know, this comes into our other show, the other show that we were on earlier in the week, where we discussed Medicaid and all those things and state benefits and whether or not that should be even a thing. And it really, in my opinion, it has to be. It's a necessary evil. You have to take care of the worst in your society. And history judges civilizations by how they treat the plight of their society. Your civilization is judged by how you treat your worst off. And it's very important that we take care of the American citizens that we have here. And I'm in full support of supporting veterans, supporting our lower class, because they really do need help. I don't think we need to necessarily cut a lot of these programs. I don't think we need to cut Medicaid. I think we need to take care of the fraud that is being committed with it. I think we
Yes.
need to take care of the just blatant lies and obvious fake people that are fake social security numbers that are receiving benefits.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. It blows my mind that this is even a thing. So many people struggle to even get a social security card that are born citizens. I know individuals that have lost theirs or it's been damaged in time, and trying to get a replacement one is a nightmare. And these people just walk into the country and here you go. Like that is a sacred piece of paper. It's to be untouched and cherished among all. You're not even allowed to laminate the damn thing. So it's ridiculous that we just are handing them out to people who don't at all deserve one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's why I have it under the triggered lib nonsense section of the night, because you hear this lie that's told in the media and believed by liberals that, oh, that never happens. There's no social security numbers going to illegals, immigrants. That doesn't happen. Illegals don't vote in in the elections. They say all this, and it's a lie, and it's proven right there. And actually, here's another one. Again, kind of on the same theme of fraud. This was from the Trump cabinet meeting earlier in the week, or actually, I think this was just yesterday. Can't remember, but anyway, it's pretty good.
Mr. President, accountability matters. That's what we're recognizing with our partners at the
Department of Labor
for Government Efficiency. Just a few weeks ago, we realized there's
Listen to
about
this.
$4.4 billion in COVID funds that were not used, that the state coffers were just holding on to. Out of that, we've returned $1.4 billion back to the state treasury. So essentially,
that's good.
The American people, and we'll go back and claw the rest
So
of those billions.
$1.4 billion back, trying to get the rest. But this is
late last night, we're understanding unemployment insurance fraud.
Unemployment insurance
that
fraud.
Trust needs to be held for the American people. When we need it for who deserves it. That's not what we're seeing in the numbers we saw last night. Again, exposed by our partners at DOJ, at the Department of Labor. Since 2020, over $400 million of payments have gone out already. And when you hear these numbers, apparently in the United States, we have over almost 25,000 people who are over 115 years old who are collecting $59 million that we have sent out to people. Talk about fraudulent behavior. Mr. President, 28,000 people between 1 and 5 years old have collected fraudulent payments at the tune of $254 million has gone out. And lastly, 10,000 people who have not been born yet.
Not been
15
born.
years into the future, $69 million.
$69 million.
Haven't even been born yet. In one case.
They
will be born 129 years from now.
129 years from now.
The United States government sent them $41,000.
$41,000.
So under the Department of Labor, those are the things that we're uncovering. I couldn't be more honored to tell the American people that we're bringing back their dollars and we're saving them and returning them to the United States Treasury. Also, jobs numbers. Last Friday, 228,000 new jobs were reported. That is good for the American people. That is my primary job, is to grow that workforce under your leadership. So we've kicked off the America at Work tour.
So that's mostly it. You know, I added the jobs thing in there because it's an extra kick in the ass to the libs out there. Because, you know, they say all of this is destroying everything and it's all doom and gloom. It's like, no, actually inflation's down, stock market's up, and jobs are coming to the country. And so, you know, it kind of goes in the face of the whole, oh, this is going to take forever for them to do. No, these companies know that they need to build these things as fast. I mean, sure, it's going to take some time, but they're not going to take their sweet ass time building these factories. They know that they have to build them fast. And that's why Trump is doing the things the way that he's doing it. But before that, hundreds of millions of dollars of our money, of our taxpayer dollars. Now, I know when we talk about trillions of dollars in deficit and hundreds of billions and other things, talking about hundreds of millions of dollars seems like chump change.
It all adds up, though.
It all adds up, and this has been going on. I mean, so this was the line where they said that the people who were, the 115 years old weren't receiving any benefits. That was the thing. Whenever Elon found those people, now to be fair, Elon and Doge, like whenever they first found these things, they were saying some pretty astronomical numbers. Apparently they were overestimating, and a lot of it wasn't that. But the left did this thing where they said the exact opposite, said none of it's fraud. None of this. Absolutely. This wouldn't happen. It's a thing with the system. It's some type of glitch, blah, blah, blah. No, actually hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay.
Money's going somewhere. 100%.
115 years of age or older getting unemployment benefits. People that haven't been born, ages 1 to 5. This doesn't make any sense. What it is, and money is going out. So this is the money that they're finding. This is actual fraud in the government, and it's all along the same lines of, man, like we said, we dodged a bullet. It was a big turning point for us because we couldn't have continued like that, man. We had to have done something. And there's another thing that was mentioned in this meeting. Trump specifically said that, as far as the trade deficit goes, we were incurring about $3 billion of additional deficit per day under Biden. Under the new system that Trump has right now, these are Trump numbers, so who knows, how far he's exaggerated them, right? I mean, he's not always 100% accurate with the numbers, but generally you can say that more is more and less is less in this case. And so he said that under his current policy, we're at like 2 billion a day that we're bringing in. So that just goes to show how things have changed. We've missed dodged a major bullet with those things.
100%, we did. We got lucky. It starts with the little guy, and it starts with the small voices, just like it starts with the pennies of savings. You're not going to get to that 1 trillion in savings without first saving $100 and then 1,000 and 1,000,000. It just takes time to get there, but you will eventually get to that saving of $1 trillion.
Yeah,
Our government has the potential to save it. We have the potential to bring ourselves out of debt, but it's going to take some new thinking and a little bit of edginess to try and pull it off.
Yeah. Well, and you think about, even if it's not the fraud, waste, and abuse, that we can't catch it all, right? I guarantee you, there were paper shredders and fires going 24/7 the minute that it was announced that Trump would win the presidency. 24/7. A lot of the evidence, a lot of the paper trail destroyed. This is the stuff that's left over that you can prove. Okay.
Yeah.
That, really think about that. This is the stuff that they couldn't hide. Shit.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
It is.
But yeah. So on a completely different topic, if we're good with this, I want to bring up friend here, Mr. Predator Poachers Long Island. So this guy, first of all, if you're on X, definitely give him a follow. The guys out there and all these Predator Poacher shows. What was the guy's name? The other guy, Mitch, Alex Rosen.
Yeah. Heavy set gentleman, red hair, awesome guy, does a lot of work. And there's also Colorado Pet Patrol. They're also a pretty good group of people that are out there every day using the decoys that they have to catch these sick
Alex.
individuals.
Yeah, Alex
And,
Rosen is I Fight for Kids.
I Fight for Kids. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Give him a
these
follow.
guys.
Give
Absolutely.
Predator Poacher Long Island. Yep.
Great people out there doing the Lord's work, protecting our children. They can't be thanked enough. So by all means, check them out, like them, follow their channels, watch some of their content. It's pretty good.
Yep, for sure. So yeah, I think that these are definitely the types of things that people need to see happening out there in the world. I mean, we talk a lot about politics and kind of the larger geopolitical type of things happening in the world, but man, you have these pedophiles that are literally right next door in your neighborhood, right? And so we want to deal with them, if we can. And unfortunately, the law is very slow in a lot of cases. Now, we were talking about this earlier. There's a lot of channels like this now. I know Predator Poachers Long Island and Alex Rosen especially, they actually go through getting enough evidence to get the person generally convicted or arrested and taken off the streets. Some of these other podcasters that, like we talked about like last week, the shock value of beating up a pedophile in Walmart, for example. While yes, absolutely 100%, whoop that pedophile's ass, right? Beat him down. Not calling for violence against anybody. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but I'm pretty sure.
I think
if you
the best way to put it, I think the best way to put it is we need to let the justice system take its course.
Yeah.
There's criminal justice with the law, and then there's also the justice that will be served by the criminals that are already in jail. You just need to have faith in also that system that they do a pretty good job at doling out a whole second punishment and a whole nother level of justice that sometimes our legal system just can't quite obtain.
Yeah. So let me rephrase that because I don't want people to think that I'm saying to go out and
we're definitely not calling
physically assault someone. No, it's actually, this was the whole point of this portion here, was talking about how much more important it is to get them actually arrested and sent to prison and actually charged for their crimes. So while it is entertaining and, kind of give you a little chuckle to see some of the most vile human beings get their face stomped in, it doesn't really do any good because generally the person doing the assault can be charged with said assault. And then the person who is actually, raping children gets off scot-free and is made to be, a victim in the situation when they are the one that's victimizing and committing the horrible acts. So all that to say, I absolutely support these guys who do it right. The Predator Poacher Long Island guy, he's kind of cool. He was actually on Crowder his video was on Crowder. So he's partnered with Steven Crowder over there at Louder with Crowder, represent Mug Club, right? And he's done this last one. So we'll pull that up real quick. This is from this week. So this is a little bit longer one, but it's freaking hilarious. Okay. So we're gonna watch this and definitely follow Steven Crowder, S Crowder. He's got a great show. it makes digesting a lot of this stuff with the comedy and everything that he does with his team. They've got a full production there. They do a live show Monday through Friday. It's an hour long on Rumble. And then they've got another hour for premium subscribers to Rumble that you can watch as well. It's like 2 hours a day. I mean, it's really good work that they put out. So, but yeah, this is pretty cool. This is them kind of the highlights from Predator Poacher Long Island last takedown. So let's watch this because it's fucking hilarious.
Joe, hello. I saw you in your room. I know you're here. Joe, let's just be people. Let's cut this hiding nonsense and come out here. Joe, come down. I want to talk to you.
What's up?
Hi, Joe. Hi, I'm Douglas King Jr. I think you know.
I don't know what you're talking
Okay, I'm going to get these addressed, you know. Joe, I'm going to start reading it. Fuck it. Okay, will you come out a little closer so we can speak so I don't have to yell at the top of my lungs?
She told me she was 18.
She never said that. Yes, it is you because, dude, we have your penis pictures. I'm trying to, but you're running away. No. Anyhow, you initiate the conversation. She clearly says I'm 13, not 18.
Well,
Can we, you didn't misread shit. This is all voluntary. I'm not holding it against her will. You accepted that she was 13 and did not think she was 18. Okay, cool. Are you a Christian man?
Yeah.
You sent all those penis pictures there, right? And videos. Yes. Because it's so even for safety purposes. So that way,
Listen.
Yes, of course.
All right, you're tripping.
No, Jesus. I can talk from Long Island. I'm not cop. What were the pictures that you sent her?
Like what you have in there.
Like the penis pictures and stuff? Or do you want to just grab the jacket?
Yeah, but yeah.
How are you so unlucky that the first time you do it, that I
Every
get
time.
a call and I'm here?
I can tell you that's the first. I'm going to grab a Bible.
You don't have to. Did you also ask her for any pictures?
No.
Naked pictures?
No.
You sure about that?
Probably did. I don't remember.
You did.
Okay.
Something trying like a snowplow or something.
I wasn't a snowball.
You ever seen the movie Snow Day? It's a great movie that like if you like want to feel young. Maybe if you watch that, I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
I hate.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Treat this like confession. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Go seek him. She was another one.
Yeah.
Wow. She wanted me down there. Where am I?
Yeah, I see you here, not there.
Okay. No, why didn't I go? I knew it was a setup. He
Professionally, that
was
might.
making say she was 9. And we did talk a lot. You do that right.
Of course I do. You see the problem with it
Yes.
still, right? You think that's good for her? Like, you're a man of God.
When do people get arrested and do stuff?
This isn't arrestable. You know what all these yellow tags are? It's all the time to send you. And the pinks is when you ask her to send stuff.
Right. This is just fantasy.
This is no longer fantasy. This is reality.
Of course.
You clearly have some kind of attraction to minors.
Right. Who am I talking to? A counselor.
You're talking to me. Oh my gosh, your birthday?
Well, a couple days ago.
Oh, happy birthday. You're a good guy too. You're going through some.
What? Oh, listen to this. If you're a parent,
Yeah, it's called Monkey. Once in a while you see kids being sexual.
it's an app.
Oh man, do you know any like places around here to get like a good bagel or something? Or back to the monkey app.
Oh my
I hadn't heard about the
Yeah, it's kind of like a logo or chat roulette or something.
Yep.
The images of the kids like in nude and sexual things. Is it pictures, videos, or both?
It's both.
So what's typically happening like with like the kids and stuff?
But we having sex.
How old are the kids in the videos?
They're young, 6, 7, 8, 9. When I was 31, I had sex with a young girl.
How old was she?
She was 13. There was a mouse commission just a long time ago.
You were 31, she was 13?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Where was this?
This is,
Listen to this.
So you're saying she's 13?
she was 18.
She was 13.
18.
You told me 13 just
No.
now. And you were telling the truth then. And she was 13, you were 31. Okay, fine.
God.
How many times did you have sex with her?
Only once. I never told someone that, so
No. Hey, that's really,
That's
I appreciate your honesty very much so.
trying to get laid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just.
I'm here.
Just tell this guy that walked up to you.
It's not 13.
Those are hard to get. I've never. You get a video of a child. I've never done.
So you like look for child porn? Yeah.
Just instant.
Yeah, we're gonna like
I
we're
have your word.
yeah no. Yeah, no, I'm glad you came out to have. Is it that part? I don't know. Maybe someone called when I was trying to have the yelling for it. When he comes, I'll vouch. Of course, man. Yeah, absolutely.
I love how they're all vouch. They
You're
all
not
vouch.
gonna talk sexually to minors anymore on the internet. You're done doing that. You're not gonna send penis pictures to minors anymore on the internet. And you're not gonna ask minors for nudes anymore.
Nope.
You're not gonna watch child porn anymore.
Alex does, man.
You're not gonna
Same
ask
shit.
minors
Alex
anymore.
does.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I know, man. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't know.
Careful, bud. You're gonna trip over that lip.
Oh my god. Oh, fuck this guy.
We're gonna proclaim him to have the purtiest mouth of the year.
What a fucking idiot. Oh man. It's
That just, it's wild. It's wild. And what blows my mind is, Chris Hansen started this show back in the 90s to catch
Yeah.
a predator, right, on Dateline. And he's still doing this show on his own network now. He has Takedown on True Blue. Good show. I thought when they first started this show back in the 90s, thinking they're going to run out of content. They can't do this forever.
yeah.
And what has consistently been proven wrong is that there's an endless supply of this content. There are numerous content creators, just like this guy, just like Alex, just like Colorado Pet Patrol, that are going out there day after day after day, catching sometimes 1, 2, 3 individuals in a day trying to go after a minor. And that's just it blows my mind that the statistic is that high. I never would have thought about it. I never would have thought there would have been even close enough predators to keep one person functioning in this line of work. Because you'd think the word would get out as a predator. If I was a predator and I saw all these people getting harassed and getting beat up, I'd think twice about offending. But apparently they don't. Clearly they don't. And I guess that's what makes him a predator.
Well,
there is no thought there.
That's what Alex Rosen said. The whole thing was he was in college and was like, I wonder how easy it is to bait one of these guys. And within 15 minutes, he said within an hour, he had set up for a meeting with someone. He's like, wow, it is that bad. And so it's almost like they do know, but they do know about these things, but there's so many of them. It's like fishing in a lake that's stocked daily with a bunch of fish. You're gonna catch a fish, even if there's a bunch of smart fish in that lake. It doesn't matter. The old saying, shooting fish in a barrel, right? I mean, these that's what it is.
The internet makes it easier for them to reach out to our children. It used to be you only had to worry about predators in your town, in your neighborhood. Now you got to worry about the predator across the country who's willing to pay for a plane ticket for your 12-year-old. Those are the predators you got to worry about. Even some of these smart devices are very suspicious. Alexa and Google Home and things like that. There was an instance a few years ago. We had a Google Home, and I caught Noah making travel plans with the Google Home, talking about how they were going to go on a trip. I'm like, no, you're not. It's an electronic device. It's not something you're going on a trip with. You're not going, and it's somewhere to like the Netherlands or something, out of country, not like down the road. It wasn't to the park. The AI is talking about taking my child on a trip, on a vacation. We're not planning any vacation, son.
Yeah, no, that's another reason why I wanted to bring up that clip is because it mentioned the Monkey app specifically. It's one of those things.
That's a new one.
Yeah, it looks like something that's harmless. Monkey. It'd be something that would show up on your kid's tablet or phone or whatever, and there's children being abused on there, and there's these predators clearly know about this, because that's the thing. There is a whole community of these people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's how they get taken down. That's how they're tracked and all that. But yeah, once one of these things gets exposed, then they go to somewhere else. You know, they're like cockroaches. The light shines in on them, they scurry, and then they go somewhere else.
Yep. As parents, you have to be mindful. You have to check your children's devices. You have to go through and see who they're having contact with. Are there people that you don't recognize on there? Question them about it. Why are they talking to Joe Schmo at 2 a.m.? You know, that's a question that you should probably have with your child if you don't know Joe Schmo, because you know he's been doing tutoring, and even then, 2 a.m. you might want to question it. You know,
Yeah.
you need to be an involved parent. And, you know, we're all guilty. I am very guilty of giving my child an electronic device because I need 5 minutes of break. We all do it. It doesn't matter, cell phone, switch, tablet, pick your poison. We've all done it. And we're becoming more and more complacent as a society about it, to where I see 3-year-olds just scrolling away like, wow, like, wow. You know, I couldn't imagine having that kind of access at the age of 3. And the content is curated in a way with these algorithms of you know, what is it, like a second and a half content and then another flash and re-engagement every second and a half.
Oh yeah,
These
destroys the
systems.
attention span.
Yeah.
The sports videos. Oh man, if your kid's watching those, do not let them watch that crap, because they will not.
The
It
faster
makes
videos cutting to different clips and different scenes, the
Yeah.
more hyperactive your child will be. That is proven. Pay attention to the videos they're
even the
watching.
longer videos, right? I mean, you're right. Even the longer videos where there's just a lot of stuff happening on the screen all at once. There's a bunch of
Yeah, they can watch an
explosions
hour-long video.
and
Yeah.
cuts and everything. Yeah, it could be an hour-long video of stuff like that, and that's what you see if you watch what some of the more popular like kids content is.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is that. It's a lot of
100% fed in the algorithm. I've caught my
loud
daughter watching
noise,
that.
a bright color, a quick cut, and something stupid, and then cuts to something else, and you know, it's just
I
nonstop.
literally blocked a channel today on YouTube that my daughter was watching. She came in, she's like, "Hey, look at this, Dad." And I watched it, and boom, cut. And it's just horrible content. It was portraying an animated character and series. I'm not going to say which one. And then it was doing like a kind of like a puppet animation, like people using stuffed animals to imitate different household content. I'm trying how to phrase this. Basically, so they would show like a cartoon on one half of the screen, and the other half of the screen they'd have two people, or they'd have a person playing with two little stuffed animals that were the same as the show, and then they would have those stuffed animals doing things like, and I always played it to some kind of music. The one that they were listening to was a rap song, I think by Cardi B. I don't cook, I don't clean. And that song's playing on a loop, and you have the male character make sure he's scrubbing all the dishes and making sure he's doing all the vacuuming, and they're doing these snap jump cuts. And first of all, I don't agree with the music that's being pushed 100%.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the imagery that is being pushed. And I don't agree with how it is cut and edited, because it is creating an addictive ADD mindset.
Yeah.
So you really got to be careful with that content. It's everywhere. You got to watch it. You got to block it when you see it, and you're going to make your child upset because some of their favorite content is going to be that, because they're naturally addicted to it. They're drawn to it. It's designed to catch their eye and hook them.
What
So when you
pisses me
cut
off
that, it's gonna make them mad.
is the kid when my kid goes to school and comes home with something new. And it's bad enough whenever it's one of the other kids. One day he was on the bus and a kid that was sitting next to him had his phone and was playing some game where it's little stick figures, but they're shooting each other and cutting them up and, disintegrating in pools of acid. I can't remember the name of the game, but the kid was playing it on the bus. And you're talking about grade school, first, second grade kids. That's not healthy for the mind. And like you said, whenever the music thing, right? My son started getting into Kids Bop because the teachers at school were playing Kids Bop songs.
Yeah.
But the problem is that your kid hears the Kids Bop version, and it's arguable whether or not that's okay. It's not as bad as, Cardi B Uncensored.
Right.
But the thing is when Cardi B Uncensored comes on, they tune into that. It's literally
they hear that rhythm and that tune.
It's a gateway. What it is, it's a gateway to get them to listen to the actual song because they're gonna like the sound and the rhythm and all that of the clean version. So that's really the trick. It's kind of a gateway thing if you think about it from a psychological.
That's how you start to manipulate and mold minds at a very young age.
Exactly.
That's how you create these zombies that are pumped out daily through our poor education system.
Yeah, and if you think about what the message is in a lot of that music, it's all about just self-destruction, destruction of society, and the aversion of family values in destroying the nuclear family. Just a lot of stuff you don't want your kids really getting into. And unfortunately, I think we kind of grew up in the age of, right when the internet became a thing. So you and I have talked at length about being exposed to things that there were no parental controls back then. So there wasn't really much they could have done. And any parental control was something that you could easily get around. So, I know personally just from being exposed to the worst of the worst stuff that, it does things to the young mind. It destroys a lot of people. And it takes a while to come out of that. What I'm talking about is like really, really graphic music and things like that,
Well, it's desensitizing, right?
Yeah, desensitizing
is a very real thing, and people don't like to address it. It's it's when you watch horrible content of people getting abused, then you start to become okay with it. Then you start seeing children becoming abused, and you become okay with it. And when those things are becoming okay, you start to reenact and you start to portray the things that you see, and you justify them in your head as, oh, it's okay because I saw XYZ on the internet, and this ain't that bad,
Yeah.
At least I'm not videoing it, And I think that's where it's real easy to fall down that slippery slope. And it's you need to monitor your own content as much as you monitor your children's content. Your input of internet and social media is just as important, because you don't want to be the person that's sitting there hoping to see the train wreck. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that's got their head down, doing their job, taking care of what needs to be taken care of, and going about their business, because it's none of your business what's going on over there. And it doesn't do you any good to get involved.
Yeah, if you think about it, they kind of found this with movies and television and music, and that's why they came out with the rating systems, right? That's why they started having those rating systems, so parents and people in general could be informed about what type of content they were about to be exposed to. And then the internet came along and completely wiped that away. And children who really don't know right from wrong are actually physically incapable of knowing the long-term consequences of their actions. They really just don't care because they feel invincible, but they're just physically incapable, mentally not developed enough to understand them. They're going to seek out that type of destructive content just for the sake of because they were told not to, right?
Yeah.
They're just rebellious and they're curious, curiosity killed the cat type of deal. So, yeah, that's what we see with, kids these days. They have a lot more of the parental things, but now, like Kids Bop, for example, using that as a gateway to getting kids to consume content that's not appropriate for them, or putting a cute animated monkey on an app, calling it a monkey app, and then having videos of children being abused and all that. I mean, it's that type of stuff that it's that one step that's going to get around whatever type of protections you have in place. So
it is. You think about it, back in the 90s, every movie rental place had that room that you had to be 18 plus to enter. And, it was shut behind a door. Worked pretty good. Then when the internet came out, it was a search engine away. That door, like you said, no longer existed. That 18 plus room was the whole internet, or the vast majority.
Here's a perfect example of that. What was it? Whitehouse.com? I don't know if they've changed that now, but I remember there was a kid whenever I was in grade school that went to whitehouse.com thinking he was going to go learn about the White House, and it was a porn site. He did it on a school computer. The school didn't even have that locked down.
Yeah.
Whitehouse.com. So he was looking at porn. He got in a whole bunch of trouble.
There was old children's shows, Bananas and Pajamas.
Oh yeah.
There was just
I remember you talking about
differentiation of just a single S in Bananas, and one led to this harmless children's site for preteen kids, and the other one led to something that was way more adult than anything we needed to be seeing probably at the time. So and people take that and use that to their advantage. They know good and well what they're doing. They're hoping to get that kind of traffic. And it's sick that we have people willing to exploit our younger generation that way. And unfortunately, you're always going to have people exploiting children around this country, around this world. Look at China with child labor. It's ridiculous. So many of these countries, Pakistan, all of them, have child labor and exploit children. And that's needs to be one of our biggest fights, is the fight against child exploitation.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's actually, I found the first video from Predator Poacher Long Island. It's also really funny. So I would like to go ahead and bring that up on the stage here, because this is great, man. This was the first one that he did and kind of set the tone, for what he was going to be doing. This is great. Watch this.
No. Like we have your picture. We have your Peter's picture. I'm from Punk from Long Island. This is just for safety purposes. The first thing is how old is Abigail?
She said she was 13.
Okay, I appreciate it. By the way, I'm sorry. I'm Douglas.
I mean, I want to knock some sense into this.
Yeah. No, that's good.
But I'm a father. I'm like, you know what? Let me just give in
in a way so that she thinks I'm meeting her.
Yeah.
And I could.
Oh, you are meeting her.
Yeah.
You want to have car sex like at a room, well, you said that.
Yeah, no, I do.
You also sent her, it looks like a porn video.
Oh yeah.
You also said things like, "I'll eat your pussy," like sucking cock in '69. Like,
Yeah. I would have tried this to like say, listen, you're doing the wrong thing, and go back to school. Look, stay in school, stuff like that.
you like asked her for like nude pictures.
Right. I did.
She's only a couple years older than your 10-year-old daughter.
Right.
Has anything ever happened with your daughter, or like anything with like
Like
you,
this,
like
I
with you,
haven't-
like in her, maybe?
Oh no.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty, for real. I get like other people would see this and think like you're attracted to minors.
No.
It makes me mad.
Yeah, everything's voluntary. You can leave whatever you want. Kind of seems like you wanted to go through with it.
I didn't. I really didn't. Honestly, like that's why that's why when I said the.
But you
first
are
week-
here too, you know.
You are here.
And it's like when I see my penis, you know, and it's not yours, but you know, it's a penis.
I don't even want to deal with a minor.
No, of course, but like you know, you are
here
in an effort to you know deal
with the minor.
Let me just leave.
Can we go back on the sidewalk? Thank you. This is Amir. Amir, you're not going to ask any minors for nudes anymore. That's you're done doing that.
I never. No.
No.
You're not going to ask minors for nudes anymore. You're not going to try to like talk to them sexually and meet up with them for sex and all that stuff. You're not going to send penis pictures anymore either. Okay. Yeah.
So stupid.
And happy ending.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was funny. He said, I mean, first of all, the guy's a monster, you know, whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But,
It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
but when he said, and he thought he was going to convince this guy that, oh, I'm just here because I wanted to knock some sense into this person. I wanted to, you know, make sure that she stays in school or whatever. What an idiot. Jeez. I mean, who do you think you're fooling with this guy? Clearly not anyone. So those were the first two from Predator Poachers Long Island, and hopefully many more to come. I love how he's just brutally honest with them, makes them look like a fool. And you know, it's making
it's
fun
good
of
content.
it's making fun of a very serious. I mean, it's hard to watch. It's hard to even laugh about something like that, but because it's so ridiculous, you know, it's entertaining. So
Absolutely.
fuck those
Well, with
guys.
that, man, I think I'm gonna have to call it a night. It's getting pretty late here.
Okay. Yeah. I'll tell you what. So before we hop off, I have a bunch of Magic cards. I've got the whole the new Tarkir Dragonstorm deck. Actually, here, let me pull this up. So I just picked this up here from what you call it, from GameStop earlier. I've got a couple of these. These are the collector boosters. I've got a whole box of these coming in. So I've got that whole box. I've got a pack coming in. I've got got a whole play booster box as well. So we're gonna do some dragon hunting. So we're gonna, Mitch and I are gonna talk about potentially finding another time to just do some Magic specific content. You know, doing openings, playing games, things like that. So that may be another program that we put on, or we'll make time in this program in order to cover some of that, because this is real cool. This set, like I said, I played at the pre-release and it was a good time. But yeah, real excited. Once I get the collector's boxes, and the bundle box, then I'll get everything into kind of one shot, and then we'll start cracking through this and see what we get, because there's some really cool art and everything in the new Tarkir series, and some really good abilities and things as well. Everybody loves dragons. I'm going to build a dragon commander deck out of all this, so that's why I went kind of ham. I usually don't spend that much, but I thought, hey, it makes good content, and I love me some good old dragon cards. So that's coming. Hope everybody will enjoy that. And like I said, we'll talk about potentially setting up maybe a different date and time to do some of the Magic content because it's fun. And yeah. So, any final thoughts, Mitch, before we close things out?
No, I think we had a pretty good show tonight. I think we covered most of what we had to cover.
Yeah, no, I think we did. I think we did really well. We got through. I think all the content. Really, I think we didn't. We cut some content out, just thinking that we would talk a little bit more than we did on some of this stuff. So it's 11:46. It's almost 2 hours in. Yeah, I think we'll call it a night. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining tonight, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully Carl's better and he's with us and can run the show in the background. But I hope you all have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you when we see you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.